Hey guys, and welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect, and today we're jumping back into another episode of FTB Skies, and today we are going to be setting up some ultimate power, so I hope you guys are ready. Today I have some big plans. I want to get Obsidian automated first, and then I want to get a gas burning generator set up for mechanism, and then of course get ourselves Flux networks up and running. So we can have wireless power. Now, before we do any of those later things, we need Obsidian, and so that's why I want to get the Obsidian going, right? So we are going to need that, and I want to try a way of automating Obsidian, utilizing easy villagers, well, easy piglins, and so we need to travel back to the Nether, and this time I'm going to be actually using this, the jetpack, and so this thing is pretty powerful. But you can actually slow it down if you want to make it more manageable. To do that, the default keybinds are the your comma and your period key. And so you can actually reduce the throttle, and that makes it way more manageable. And of course, setting a hover keybind is also very useful. So I think I want to travel back, but I'm also going to need something else. I'm going to grab a gold helmet, and I think this is going to really help us out. And yeah, I know we're gonna actually gain a little bit of health from that. Yeah, man, Apotheosis is just so powerful. But yeah, we need to go back to the Nether. And thankfully, all we gotta do is walk into this, and that'll take us straight into the Nether. We need to grab a couple of piglins, and that sounds super weird to say, but all we have to do is sort of shift right click to pick them up. And we should be able to pick them up. Oh boy, I'm already been lit on fire. Now, if you ended up missing where I got this jetpack, well, we got it off of the Sky Islands that's actually over here. It looks like there was a fresh Sky Island just right there. So I'm gonna make my way over there, and I should be able to 100% throttle this. And you can see we're really booking it at 100% throttle for sure. And we'll be there before we know it. So perfect. Now, definitely looting this place is going to be something that I kind of want to do. So I do have a bigger backpack now. I do have the gold backpack, which is super helpful. But this guy, with us having a gold helmet, we should be able to shift right click and literally pick them up. And so I'm going to pick up a couple of them. We don't need a whole bunch of them, but I do want a couple for right now, because I'm going to set up some traders with them. I love how they keep their armor too. Very interesting. So I just found this pair of boots that are unstable boots. And oh my, they're so, you can't even see the stats on them. But that has some crazy enchants. What is it? Is that speed 7? Soul speed 7. That is asking for death. But we also have fire protection. That's like infinite fire protection at that point. If fire protection 4, no, 9. Goodness. And space fireproof. Don't set fire to players in Astro dimensions. This is crazy powerful. So some big stuff that I just discovered in this chest, right? This rotten apple that you see here. Do not, if you pick it up, do not let your bag auto eat this. Please set a filter. Just don't eat this apple. I promise you, bad things will come from you eating this apple, and it will be the worst time on your island. But I do want it, but I just don't want to auto eat it. I don't even want to put it in my bag. I do have an allow list, so I shouldn't eat it. But just to be fair, I'm just going to keep it in my inventory. Oh goodness, that would be the worst. Oh my gosh, and there's a bunch of them. You know what? I don't even want it in my inventory. I'm just going to leave it in this chest, and if I ever want to come back, I think you can actually craft this. No, you can only find it here. So, ooh, yeah. Don't eat it. Just trust me. So let's say that was a pretty good haul. Of course, the main thing I wanted was the piglins, but we got a lot of other stuff. And I want to try my best to collect these tools, because if I dive into Apotheosis, we are going to want some of these higher end tools so we can break them down. So it's a good idea to definitely grab them. And also the bees are really worth it. So the thing I want to set this Obsidian automation, well, potential automation setup, is going to be this barterer. And then we are going to need one of our piglins. Let's use the one that's covered in gold. And I don't know if we need full gold ingots or if nuggets will work. But I'm going to pop this out, which is what I was using for emeralds. We are way over our emerald count for now. But if I put this guy in here, let's see, let's place him in. I'm not quite sure what all items will get output. So let's put nuggets in. Okay, nuggets cannot go in, but I'm sure that can. There we go. And so what the goal is, okay, so experience. I want to see obsidian come out of this, and I just don't know if it's going to be 100% viable. There's blaze rods. I'm hoping this guy has some custom trades and that this is actually a worthwhile thing to do, potentially for obsidian. So unfortunately, I just realized it says in the tag, can be bartered from piglins. So we can actually search this flavor text with a little hash here, hashtag. As you can see, it says can be bartered from piglins. So this is everything that can be bartered from piglins, including blaze cakes apparently, and skull fragments, and even thermal cells. Those are pretty powerful. But crying obsidian, this is interesting. It can work as obsidian, and it is technically obsidian. And we can convert it, I think, yeah, using chipped. We can probably convert it back into normal obsidian. But this right here technically is obsidian, but it's not going to be very fast. We definitely need to get a setup going that can make obsidian efficiently. So I have an idea. First, though, I need to get rid of this tank. And I'm actually going to be swapping that with an ender tank. And so let's go ahead and have this auto eject the fluid over to here. And so this I can use in another dimension. So I think what I'm going to do is use pedestals for this and try out this method of generating obsidian. I've not played around with moving fluids and stuff around, so this will be the first time. But you should be able to use an importer to import lava into a pedestal from a tank, right? For example, this tank right here should be able to send it there. And then I should be able to send that fluid and be able to link that to another pedestal to be able to transfer that over. So that's what I want to try and do here. So inside our compact machine where we have all of our materials being generated, let's try and set this particular thing up. So right here, I'm going to put it. Now I do need to get lava into this pedestal. I think we could pipe it, but I wanted to try this method where we have a pedestal with an import upgrade that's pulling the fluid into it. I think that would be kind of a cool idea here. Let's go ahead and actually it needs to be right here. Yeah, this will be perfect, right? We'll put the pedestal upside down. It seems a little weird to do that, but if we put this in, this should start to fill with lava. We see the contents and the little particle effect. This is filling with lava. Now be careful when you break this, because it gives you a temporary like item that apparently just disperses. And it got me earlier when I was testing this. It just places lava everywhere. It was horrifying. So you do want to make sure to actually utilize this stuff. So let me set this here, and then we'll have another pedestal that is going to get the material generator. Now, at the moment, it's not going to be able to generate anything because it needs to be linked. So let's potentially link. And this should now be receiving lava from this pedestal. And then this should be generating obsidian once it gets enough. Does it just need to hold a single bucket to be able to produce it? Or does it actually consume the lava? It does look like it consumes the lava. Yeah, it consumes the lava. There we go. So for right now, this will be a way that we make obsidian. And by the way, I'm no longer generating lava via the method that I was using before, using blaze powder. I'm actually generating lava using netherrack. And so that's kind of an important thing. It's not producing it very fast, but it is producing lava at a very cheap cost. And that is just netherrack. I'm definitely going to need to set up more mechanical squeezers, I think, to have a more sustainable amount of lava in the future. But we need obsidian. That's the major thing for today. And I think we got it set up. Let's see. Obsidian. Yep, we have 71 now. We only had 50 earlier, so it's already producing. We just got to get that lava rate up. Now, in between episodes, I ended up processing a bunch of this stuff the same way that we had set up. I just now removed all the barrels and everything because we don't really need it anymore. We're going to end up setting up some automation later on down the road. But for right now, as you can see, we got all of these things nice and processed up, and we have quite a few basic circuits infused, and I even made some steel, which is just the process of adding some coal with iron, and then adding a coal again to the enriched iron that is produced to get steel dust. Now I just got to smelt this stuff up, so I'm going to drop it in here and leave myself some still, because we're going to need that. But I want to get into a little bit more power. If I'm going to increase my lava production, for sure, I'm going to need way more power. Now, I think I was getting a little ahead of myself with the gas burning generator. I think what I need to do is just set up some windmills for right now. And then once we get the automation started, getting into the gas burning generator is not going to be super difficult. It is honestly 4 machines. Well, 5 if you actually use 2 gas burning generators. But windmills, I don't really want to skip over because they're really powerful and we could have gotten into them early on. So wind power is good power. So let's go ahead and create a couple of these. Actually, let's just make one for right now, just to kind of get a good idea of this. And then let's jump up top here and I will show you how powerful this is. So just being up top here, this is going to be producing, it looks about 51 RF per tick is roughly what it's generating right now. And that is almost the equivalent of our coal generators that cost coal. This costs nothing to run. So these are insanely powerful. And when you add a bunch of them, and as you can see how cheap they are to make, when you make a bunch of them, of course, you're going to have a lot of power. Now, the higher up you put this, the better it's going to be. So I think the best way to do this is to get a bottle, and we can actually fly up here into the sky, into the cloud limit. Let's fly up into the cloud level. And then while we're at cloud height, let's grab a bottle. So now we have a cloud in the bottle. So what I can do is up here, I don't know how high I can go, but let's place our cloud in the bottle. And you can see it right there. And let's see if I can actually land on it. Probably not, though. Doesn't last very long, does it? Cloud in the bottle is a temporary thing, by the way. But it's a way that you can... Let's get my jetpack. That'd probably make it a little bit easier, right? So it'll allow me to land on it. So let me pop on the jetpack. I can put this in my back slot. I'll just put it in here for right now. There we go. So we just increase the power here to 100%. And if I place this, I just want to see what that power is going to be. It's got to be up there. It's got to be up there. So cloud in the bottle's placed. Get herself into hover mode. And let's place our windmill on the cloud. There we go. And so now how much are we generating? 120. And this can generate, it looks like it can generate up to 384, depending on how high up this is. So you can put this out of render distance, honestly, and have a bunch of power just being generated for basically nothing. So that leads me into the next thing. How do we get that power to travel from a long distance away back to our base? And that's where Flux Networks is going to come into play. Now, the reason I've pushed this back so far is because we needed to get into Mechanism before we can actually do this. And I wanted to wait a little bit on Mechanism to play around with some other mods. So if we take a look at Flux Networks, we need to automate this. So this is Obsidian dust, and we need redstone. And it looks like 4 redstone to 1 obsidian dust will get us a single flux dust. That's a pretty expensive recipe, but believe me, it is worth it. Even if we can just have 1 flux plug for right now to make a network, 1 controller, and 1 flux point, we would be set. So I think to get us to that number, all we need is 39 flux dust to be able to make all of these components. This is going to give us wireless charging from within our inventory, which is insanely good. I won't have to charge up my wireless grid anymore. Just leave it in my inventory. Our jetpacks will charge. Our tools will stay charged. All of this will work. And we're going to hook this in to a grid that is at max build height. We're going to go all the way up to build height, and we are going to place some windmills up there and connect a flux plug to it. That is going to be awesome. So to crush some obsidian, I'll just use that obsidian that we're currently generating, because we'll use this power to actually set up more squeezers here in a moment. But we can crush it like this. I think you can just put it in here. Oh wait, no, pulverizer doesn't work, so we're gonna need a crusher from mechanism, I believe. Or you can use create if you've gone the create route. This is why we needed steel, so I do have steel. And it looks like I'm gonna have to get some other ingredients prepped up. I'm such a goofball, you can tell. But honestly, it's kind of confusing, the fact that you can't crush the obsidian in a crusher. You have to use an enrichment chamber to enrich it into obsidian dust. To be fair, I mean, that is pretty confusing. So I use an enrichment chamber to do this. There we go. Let's plug that in. And then I can put the obsidian in here and get that started. Goodness, to make the dust that we need for the flux dust. And then over here, I'll just put some redstone in, and we'll go from there, right? So it was 3 redstone, or 4 redstone. 4 redstone per process. So once that just builds up in here, I'll just take the dust and put that in, and there we go. We'll have ourselves some flux dust and get some power going, like some actual power. Oh, and by the way, the jetpack can go here, right here in the body slot. I just realized that. So there we go. So now we can actually have that jetpack when we need it, which is really handy. Now inside the quest line for mechanism, we actually get some enhancements. So we get some muffler upgrades, 4 of them, and we get energy upgrades and some speed upgrades, which are handy, especially for these particular machines. I think though, the ones that we want to speed up is probably this one right here. So let's go ahead and put the 2 upgrades in. You can shift click to put the energy upgrades in and then the speed upgrades, and that will help balance things out. You can see this is using 106 FE per tick. It is now a bit faster. By the way, when I said 39 earlier, I was completely off on my estimates. I was meaning 39 of just the amount here that is required. Wasn't even accounting for the flux dust that's counted here. I think after calculating the amount of actual flux dust that we need for this particular application, it's actually 162 flux dust that we need just to make 1 flux plug, 1 flux point, and 1 flux controller. So to get to max build limit, we're looking at like 3, this level, like definitely in the 300s. So let's go ahead and place the cloud right here and place a building block. And there we go. Now we have ourselves a building block ready to go. And so we can set ourselves up some windmills. Now we can face them all into the same block, which I think will be okay to do. I have 4 of them here. And so we have this one, and then we can place them right next to each other. They do not care if they are right next to each other. It is kind of crazy. Now, on their actual amount they're generating, 155 RF per tick of just free energy. Right, yes, we're doing the free energy thing. So, I have my flux plugs. This is how you send power into the network, and it's a pretty easy mod to understand. So, at first, you need to create a network, and we can call this main. And we'll set this to public, so that way if you guys download this world later on, you can easily use it. Select your color, and then just hit create. To get it to work, though, you have to select that network you just made, and now you're pretty much ready to go. So this is now going to send power from this into our network here. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? So let's hop all the way back down. You can see it is out of sight, out of mind, but it is just going to be a constant source of power, which is kind of handy. And then we can set this up on a controller, right? And this will charge our tools, right? Always. So if we place down a flex controller, we can select our network and then go to wireless charging and turn it on, and then hit select. After selecting what we want it to charge, we can hit apply. And now it should be charging our tools. You can see my power is going up in this tool. So now the interesting part is it looks like to our plug, we are sending about 620 RF per tick just from those windmills, which is like free power, right? And we are now sending that to our network. That is awesome. Now to send it around, all we have to do is hook up a flux point to our current system that we have set up over here. So if I put this here and hook it up to the flux duct, I can just select that. And now if this needs any extra power that this is not already providing, then it will take it from my point. Now this also has priority. You can do all kinds of stuff with managing this network. You can manage your statistics, track all of the information about all of your different components, and you can even name these. So I can set this up and actually call this like main power cable that it's hooked to. And that way I can more easily track what it's actually hooked to, and I can see it in this list. Just like the one that I put up there, I should probably call that one something else. I should probably put it and call it power input or windmill power input. Something that I can definitely recognize when I look at that network later on to try and troubleshoot things. Now, what I'm about to show you is really powerful. I will admit that this really trivializes most power sources in most mod packs when mechanism is included in it. And this is the gas burning generator. Fair warning that it does push you pretty much into mid-game power. Like you're going to be producing thousands of RF per tick. Now I am still in need of the power that we just set up because I want to use that to make sure these stay running at all times, but this can power itself. Now, what we're going to need is an electrolytic separator. We're going to need ourselves a pressurized reaction chamber and ourselves a crusher being supplied with some sort of organic. I'm going to be using apples because I think apples are one of the best things that we can use in here that we have an abundance of because of our tree farm. And then the gas burning generator is, of course, what makes all the power, and everything comes out of this pressurized reaction chamber. So to make this as easy as pie, let's just set this up. So first things first, the ethylene that we're going to be burning in our gas generator, which by the way can burn other things. It can burn, I believe, oxygen from an electrolytic separator, but ethylene is what we're working towards getting. And the pressurized reaction chamber produces this as a byproduct from some of the other things that it also makes. It is going to be converting the stuff that we generate from our crusher into substrate. So if we place this down, of course, there's nothing going on right yet. I am going to need pop in here and just see what is currently being powered. Okay, let's go ahead and use these. This is what we're going to use to power our machines because I took these machines down. We're going to be putting this into a compact machine. But now, we have this. The crusher can go right next to it. All of these can push into each other, so there's no need to use pipes. But when you place down your electrolytic separator, just to make things easier on yourself, place it like this. Place it facing backwards. That way, the hydrogen, I believe it's the hydrogen that it's producing, is going to go just right into here. Now, there's a couple of settings that we need to set up once we get this going, but I'll worry about that here in a moment. Now we also need to give the electrolytic separator water, and we also need over here, we need to give our crusher the apples that I was talking about. So I am going to be using the refined storage to just pipe those things over. Now for the water, I am going to be getting into the mechanical pipe for mechanism. Super simple to make once you have yourself some steel. And to get this to actually function, use the configurator, shift right click the bottom here to set it to extract mode. And already you're going to see it filling up and it's producing oxygen and hydrogen, but the hydrogen is going over here automatically. And that's what we want to see. Now we also want to include this with the water as well. We want water over here to go with our hydrogen. So we have water being pumped in from a sink infinitely into the electrolytic separator. This is producing oxygen. We want to have it dump excess on the oxygen here. And that's pretty much it. Give this some apples and we are looking pretty good. So this is going to give apples, by the way, it's just using the power that it got from being in our inventory. But this will take, and right now we have to configure this side. There is a side config on this for items. And we want the items to actually be an input here. So if we allow inputs on this, we should be good. And then over here, we want this to be set up as an auto eject on, and we want to send to this side, to the left. And there we go. And as you can see, it's going to produce a little bit of ethylene, but it also produces substrate. So we need to do something with that substrate to get rid of it, because if it fills up, the machine stops working. But the main thing we're wanting is that ethylene. We can use the substrate later. So I think the best bet with this is to just, in the back here, just have it send it to an importer to put into a drawer. So I've managed my configs here. I have my size for my items. I have everything else removed. You can hold shift to do that. Auto eject, and then I'm ejecting the product out the back and going into a drawer that has a void upgrade on it. Now the side for the gases, because we're going to be sending this out, I don't want it outputting to the side. I want it to only output the gas, this blue here, out the top and directly into a pipe, which we're going to have set up so that way we can potentially use multiple gas burning generators. And I think that's about it as far as setup goes. And then this should be producing plenty of power for us. So gas burning generator, if I put that here, you can see the port for where the power would be generated. I guess it built up power just from being in my inventory, being in my hotbar. But we're going to need a pipe, not a normal pipe. We are going to need a gas pipe from Mechanism. That is also referred to as a pressurized tube. And so we hook this up. You can see the pressurized tube, and already we're getting ethylene without even configuring it. And you can see that power went up incredibly fast. This is just one gas burning generator, and I haven't even turned the power on yet. So let's get our GPSs set up and we'll be able to see how much power we can actually generate, because I'm going to hook up a trash can to this. Let's go ahead and select this, and then we can go ahead and just place them on in. And there we go. This is going to start running, and this is just running without any upgrades, by the way. Let's get a trash can, and let's get a energy trash can. So if I put an energy trash can here, that should take all of the power, and we should be able to get an idea over here of how much power is being generated without this machine having any upgrades on it. And it looks like it's producing 2.82. Oh, now it's at 3.15 thousand RF per tick. So it's producing 1,000 without like close to 3,000 RF per tick without any upgrades, right? And so the more gas we feed this, the more power it's going to produce. And if we end up with an abundance of ethylene, which we should see this number go up after it completes a process. I think, yeah, this has biofuel. This is the limiting factor, is the hydrogen reaching this to be able to produce the substrate. Oh, I turned off one of the sides, didn't I? When I was messing with the config, I turned off the sides on the gases. We do need this as an input, I believe. I'm under the wrong section, and gases. I needed that to be an input. There we go. So now we'll be able to see what the actual power input is. I forgot I had turned that gas side off. Okay. So now taking a look. So there it goes. It built back up, and you can see it's burning 40. The burn rate is kind of interesting how it's spread out here. Yes, it is starting to go up now. Now it's at 8. And so we could get by with probably putting 2 of these, but the power keeps going up. Notice the power production, how much power we're producing keeps going up and up and up. Like, this thing can be really powerful. It's already at 4. I think the more that's in here, the higher the burn rate goes. Yeah, they see the burn rate automatically increasing to support how much ethylene is being produced. So it seems like at this point, it's sort of leveled itself out. It's still going up. It seems like every now and then, ever so slightly, but it has started to kind of slow down a little bit. But we're producing over 7,000, as you can see, KF per tick, which is same as RF per tick. I still go with RF or FE. Everybody's it's all using FE now for energy instead of what it used to be. But yeah, it is still building up. And you can see right here, the burn rate also will continue to increase. It's already at 7. So maybe this isn't even the max number. If I just let this continue to run at full pace, this will probably end up going higher. And we're using 160 FE per tick on the basic electrolytic separator. And then this is only using 2. And then this is using 20. So our windmills are totally keeping up with this, no problem. The more I look at this, the more it just keeps going up. So I really won't be able to know exactly how much until probably this whole thing's full of ethylene. And then you really start to understand the burn rate. But it feels like it's definitely leveled out at right about here without any upgrades. So man, even 13 to 14,000 RF per tick is pretty powerful. It's It's a lot, especially off of one generator and without any upgrades on these machines. So, and as you can see, hydrogen's already building up, and so we must be reaching sort of a pinnacle here, sort of a cap, for this to be nice and filled up. And yeah, it's, I mean, and what we're putting into it is literally apples. So we're turning apples into thousands of RF per tick. You gotta love it. It's fantastic. And I can actually now go ahead and get rid of this, and I can go ahead and start using this power. So this is where the Flux plug is going to come back into play, and we're going to start sending power back into itself. And wow, I mean, it's just it's a lot of power. Like I said, it really makes everything else just sort of seem effortless, well, until late game, in which we'll be generating millions of RF per tick. So again, for a recap, plugs send power to your network and are hooked to your generators, and of course your plugs are what you send power to use to machines that need power. So one sends power and one receives. Flux plugs receive power. And there we go. I just hook it up to the main, and now everything else should be being used, but this is of course going to cap out, and then our burn rate is going to plummet, and we're only going to generate as much power as actually needed into the network. So yeah, so this will just end up building up with ethylene. It is going to be quite awesome for our future setup, which is going to be mechanism automation. And that is going to be next episode. We are going to work on getting all of our mechanism components set up, also getting lava produced in a really fast manner. And that way we have obsidian, because we're going to need obsidian for that automation. And we're going to be able to make any component that we need with just a click of a button. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you learned something. I hope you set this up in your own world so you can start producing a ton of power without the need of a lot of hassle. And guys, if you did enjoy, like I said, be sure to click that subscribe button and also give this video a huge thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And of course, guys, it is time to thank the supporter of today's video. And that huge thanks for today is going to go to Tony2003FL over on YouTube, becoming a YouTube premium member and supporting me in a fantastic way. Thank you so much for your amazing support. And guys, if you're interested in supporting in your own way, be sure to check out either the YouTube memberships or Patreon or Discord premiums, which is another awesome way of supporting. So thank you so very much for your continued support. And guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you guys, of course, in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching. Man, with all this power generation, I almost forgot to pet both Ron and Frenchie. Oh my goodness, how could I?